Wow, we are live again. Hello, everyone. Wow,
Hello. Happy Wednesday.
happy Wednesday. I'm just checking out everything in the StreamYard console to make sure that I haven't overlooked anything. And of course, I have. Let me just go to on camera background, which I think will switch up at some point because, guys, we are in season 2, episode 8, which is like episode 20 when you kind of look at the whole scale of things, right? Like, Jess has been here almost like since day one, really. So we started this last fall, and yeah, we're carrying it through right through 2022. How's your week been, Jess?
It has been good. It's been exciting.
Nice.
Got to
Um,
get in the water this weekend. It was good.
oh, let's talk more about that in a little bit because we got an exciting show lined up. Shout out to all of you guys that are on the live. We got like 58 of you here. We've got some people on Jess's page locked in. We got a couple people on our YouTube page and then on my Facebook page, which is great. So we push this out to as many destinations as we can to get as many of you guys in here with us. And you guys could be anywhere tonight. But once again, you've chosen to hang out with us. If the audio is good and video is good, great. Send us some comments, give us some love. Engagement always helps. And what I want to say real quick before we get into the monologue is like, likes are free, subscribing is free. It helps the channel grow. It doesn't cost you anything. It's probably 2 clicks. Go to live.weldonwade.com. Takes you straight to our brand new YouTube channel and click subscribe, you guys. It takes moments and it's free. And once we hit 100 subs on YouTube, we're able to change our URL just to something custom, whatever that may be.
Ooh.
Because out here we are building it while we fly. It's Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022. Shout out to all the divers, instructors, explorers, mermaids, photographers, ocean content creators across the planet. All of you guys that love the ocean, whether you get wet or not. We do this show for you guys, for divers, by divers. And this show just wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. I didn't forget. Bermuda International and Blue Wave and our growing list of supporters. Shout out to Current Vehicles, Mammoth Lakes in Texas, Atlantic Mooring Maintenance Limited, and Ubervida and Satronics, and anyone that just supports Jess and I's work in or out of the water. It all helps. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
Now, I have if you guys are tuned in, I'm sure you probably know what our topic is, and I'm just going to pop this up. Tonight's topic is saving sea turtles with Cody Macon. Cody is live and backstage. He jumped on early. I was surprised. I was like, our guest is here and it's early. This is so great. So we were able to have a conversation before starting the stream, and now we start that countdown thing 10 minutes out, which kind of cuts into a little bit of prep time. So I'm going to cut that down. I think Jess and I might have agreed to that. Like 10 minutes is a long time to like give you guys a chance to jump on. I think like 3 minutes is probably fine. What do you think?
I like that. I like that. Just enough time for you guys. It's like a safety stop. It's a safety stop, y'all. It's 3 minutes. Enough time to get yourself situated, get some popcorn.
Yeah, Cody's laughing. Like I said, like let's do the show Wednesday nights. It ties into what did I say? Water Wednesdays, wade in the water.
Yeah, it's all the
It
W's.
all kind of makes sense. And we will do a 3-minute safety stop to lead into the show when we kick off season 3, which may be a bit soon. And what we're going to do, guys, is I'm going to skip a little bit of the monologue. I'm just excited. I'm starting to mumble. My name is Weldon. You guys know. I mean, I think at this point, we don't have to do like the introduction bit. And then we have the wonderful Jess in Texas. We're here to bring you guys a dope show, which we're going to run every Wednesday night. We have another 2 Wednesday nights to go before we wrap season 2. And if you're on the live, thank you so much. Salute to you. If you're watching us on replay, that's great. And if you're listening in to this show via podcast, that's even better because we are working hard and we will work harder to get these episodes up into Podbean so that you can tune into the show and listen to us as well. We're not too sure what season 3 is going to look like, but strap in and hold on tight. And remember, I've mentioned it before, but the quickest way to get to the show right now is to just jump on live.weldonwade.com. The show has its own legs now all across social. Yeah, but share, like, follow, comment, subscribe. It all helps the show grow, guys. That's worth saying twice. And if something is important to you, always have 2. That's why we have 2 regulators. Some of us will have 2 tanks. and yeah, maybe 2 dive computers. I don't know, but if it's important to you have 2. So, Jess, I think we're going to jump into it. Are you ready? I'm
Yes.
gonna. Okay, tonight, Jess and I are introducing 3 new segments per episode. So it's not going to be like per week because we're actually hoping to offer more than 1 episode per week. So for each episode going forward, we're going to be introducing a tips segment, a trivia segment, and a friend to follow segment. So you know what I've been saying ever since we started this show, like last fall. We're building it while we fly. Did Jess and I prep? We talked about these segments like earlier today, but that's about it. So we are gonna get right into it, and I think I'm gonna start. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna give my episode tip, trivia, and friend to follow, and then Jess is gonna give her tip, trivia, and friend to follow. But in fact, like I don't have to go first. Jess, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'm fine either way. I'm here. I'm here to have fun.
Hey, I'm here to party. And shout out to StreamYard. There's is
Oh,
not
look at you with your mug.
there's not no water or swizzle, but it's something. I don't know, some rum or something, Cody. I'll get you over here. We'll get you on that rum dip.
All right. So which one do you want to start first with? You want the tip, the trivia, or the friend?
Wow, you just threw me a little thing. I don't know. It's up to you. Let's get them done. So here's another vibe for all 62 of you on the live. The idea is to for each of us to throw out a trivia piece and save the answers for the end of the show. That's to make you guys hang around. So we're going to do this show tonight for about 45, 50 minutes. So you don't have too long, to wait. But yeah, Jess, it's totally up to you. Whatever kind of flows well.
All right. Well, I'll do my trivia first. How about that? So that way you guys have longer to think about it. Rebecca Burns says
Shout out
Water
to
Wednesdays.
Rebecca.
I like that. Gotta get
That's
that
what's up.
alliteration. It's good. It's good stuff.
Great to see you, Rebecca, as always.
So I'm gonna kick off with my trivia, which is going to be how many eggs is the average nest of a Kemp's Ridley sea turtle?
Oh my gosh.
How many eggs is the average
What?
nest of Kemp's Ridley sea turtle?
So
It's gonna
I
be.
think. Go ahead.
I was just saying. I was going with the theme tonight.
That's cool. And what's funny, Jess, is I was going to suggest that one of us does a hard one and one of us does a relatively easy one, or like one for the adults and one for the kids, just like the Planet Math here in Bermuda. One of the radio stations has Planet Math, and they do an adult and a kid. What I have is not hard.
So mine's the easy one, right?
No, you're for the adults. That's the adult question.
I'm just teasing y'all. Just teasing.
Wow. So we're starting off with. I'm going to switch up that. So we're going to start with trivia. So Jess's trivia. Okay, Jess, what's your tip?
Oh, we're gonna go right into it. Okay. My tip is always have zip ties. Zip ties are a girl's best friend, a diver's best friend. You can solve a lot of problems that you run into or potential problems that can be avoided by having zip ties on you whenever you're diving. So they're very handy. I always have an extra pack with me in my Save a Dive kit. And later on, we can go into what all kind of lives inside the Save a Dive kit, and everyone can kind of build their own. But I absolutely love having a pack of zip ties. You can get them in plain black, you can get them on neon colors, whatever makes you happy. But there's a plethora of issues that you can solve with the mighty zip tie. So that's my tip.
Well, we have a comment from Dan Fredrickson. He says or asks, "Can you spell that?" So I'm already lost. Like as soon as I was like, "Oh my god!" So can you repeat your trivia question? Please?
Oh, my trivia question. Yes. Yeah. So that is how many eggs is the average nest of a Kemp's Ridley, Kemps, Ridley, Ridley, sea turtle?
So more than one. Turtles lay more than one egg. There's like a bunch. Because when you see the videos of the little turtles running on the beach, there's like many.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see who gets it right at the end.
Cody's loves laughing. Guys, Cody is backstage. He's our special guest. Cody, thank you so much for taking your time of your night to jump on the show. It's great. And we're going to bring you on stage very soon. But Jess has a friend to follow to share with you guys as well. So share with all of us. So who is your friend to follow?
All right. My friend to follow is Brent Duran. He is a awesome photographer who is based out of California. And he does all sorts of other cool stuff, but he has some absolutely stunning underwater photography. He actually was kind enough to let us show some of his pictures on our cave diving or diving in the dark episode, some of the fluoro diving photos that I showed. But these are just some of his absolutely stunning photos. But what's cool about following Brent is that you don't just get the beautiful scenery. He has a lot of really, really cool, tips and tricks for underwater photography. So he has different segments
Okay.
that he does. He has some cool YouTube videos. So about equipment, about getting into underwater photography. As anyone who's tried that knows that there's a pretty steep learning curve. It's not like taking pictures on land where you can just like grab a camera and kind of go. There's a lot of other things to consider and a lot more equipment whenever it comes to underwater photography. So he has a lot of very helpful tips that I know I personally appreciate whenever it comes to underwater photography. So I wanted to share that with you all. And again,
Guys,
that's at
yeah.
Brent Duran. And you can
Yeah.
find some of his very cool stuff.
Guys, take a minute. Don't leave the show, please. Yeah, I don't want to. We don't want to see a dive in the live viewership, to follow.
Yes,
But if
don't
you
worry.
go and
Cody's
come
coming.
back,
Cody's coming.
yeah, if you got, yeah, Cody's backstage. He's ready to rock and talk all about turtles. I got questions. I'm sure you guys do as well. And what's great is I'm gonna thank you so much, Jess. Brent Durand on Instagram. He's up on the screen. And for those of you guys listening in over podcast, yep, it's at Brent BrentDurand. And we already have Kimberly is saying off. This is for your trivia, Jess.
Yeah.
200.
We'll have to wait till the end of the show to
That'll
find
wait to the end
out.
of the show. Yep. Just before we cue up our outro, we will
It's a good guess.
reveal.
Thank you, Kimberly.
All right. Well, keep the guesses coming in, you guys. That's pretty dope. I really love that. And Jess's friend to follow, Brent, again there. I'm just gonna remove that banner. Just navigating here. Hey, we're building it while we fly. We're like producing on the fly, which is pretty nice too. All right. So it is my turn. So Weldon's tip, trivia, and friend to follow for this episode. And I'll be a bit quick. So let's bring that up. My tip of the week for all of the aspiring divers in the room, in your room, you're not in my room, is and we've said this before, so this isn't on topic with turtles, unfortunately, Cody and Jess, but it's just an overarching tip is find a mentor, and that could probably apply to just life in general in terms of life coach or personal trainer, things like that. But find a mentor in the diving space. You've got social media on your fingertips, whatever platform it might be. Find someone. They don't have to be necessarily local. They can be anywhere in the world. Someone that you feel comfortable with approaching and just asking them, hey, I see some dope stuff that you're doing. I would love to follow in your footsteps. Can I just check in with you occasionally? Can we jump on a Zoom call? Again, like a lot of stuff that not very long ago would have cost $2, $3, $4 a minute to facilitate is now basically free. Internet came to Bermuda in like 1995, and I remember dialing up, and everything was just super expensive. Long distance calling cost a fortune. So just being able to jump on a video call on numerous platforms that are out there to engage and interact with somebody and learn from somebody, it doesn't really cost you anything but time, which I take as being is very valuable. But that's my tip, guys. Find a mentor. Trivia. Let's get right into it. This is scuba, believe it or not. So Weldon's tip of the episode is, what two metals are scuba tanks commonly made from? Okay.
Ooh.
So you guys might get like the first metal, but then the second metal might be a little bit more difficult to figure out. But again, a small bit of my diving is on scuba. Most of it is free diving, but I thought I'd start with the scuba trivia question tonight. And that's what that is. And my friend to follow is gonna be, I didn't it didn't have to take long to think about this. I was like, do I want to share entities like businesses, organizations, like put my job? I was like, no, it's friend to follow, not like job to follow, right? So it's gonna have to be none other than the wonderful Zandy the mermaid. Zandy and I have never actually met in person. And this kind of speaks to what I was mumbling about earlier about how the internet and social media just connects us all. So please, guys, follow Zandy the Mermaid on Instagram, on Facebook. She, as you can see, for those of you watching in her IG bio, Zandy is a free diver, but she does scuba diving as well. She promotes diversity in the sport, which I do as well. She's creating diversity in diving and ocean spaces. She's a free diving instructor and scuba instructor. She's also a fresh 2022 part of the cohort of Patty Ambassador Divers. So she joined the cohort, which is dope. So we're both Ambassador Divers, which is great. And Zandy also is the founder and executive director of the Black Mermaid Foundation down over there in South Africa. Guys, don't leave the show, but please jump on IG and search for Zandy the Mermaid. She is amazing. And she's like doing content creator stuff with the beer crafter Corona, and just doing all kinds of really really exciting things. So I'm just follow Zans. She's great. So yeah, we've got. I think we did it. That's it.
There we go.
Boom! Just like that, we can get into tonight's topic. Did you want to introduce Cody?
I would love to. So I'm super excited to have Cody on the show tonight. So he works at the Houston Zoo, and he is going to be telling us about a lot of the cool work he's doing with sea turtles there. So he'll get kind of into the programs that the zoo has, not just showing animals to the public, but also some of the rehabilitation that they do. But I know Cody because we actually went to college together, and I had the pleasure of getting to take my scientific diving course with him. And so I might have some blackmail photos. Cody, you better watch out. I don't know.
High school pictures with no, you don't.
college.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't go to college, guys, but I'm just thinking of my high school yearbook. I'm like, wow, please. Like, anyway,
I might be nice. We'll see. There's like a 50-50 chance.
Cool.
But I'm very happy to bring him on. He's going to be talking to us about some of the really fantastic work that he has been doing. So without further ado, hello, Cody. Welcome to the show.
Salute. I'll unmute you, sir. There you go. I got you.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
All right. All right. Yeah, blackmail photos. Oh, that's okay. You can bring them out. I'll be fine with them. We can start diving too a little bit. I haven't been in a while though. We can get into that. I can start off with what I do now.
Yeah, let me pull up that awesome slideshow that you
see if you can get that up.
Shared.
Oh yeah, you got it.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
All right. Hey guys, so a little bit about me. My name's Cody Macon. I know he started to say Mason earlier. It is Macon. I work at the Houston Zoo. I actually started my career with NOAA, National Marine Fisheries Service, right out of college. I did a couple of years where I was a commercial fisheries observer, going out on commercial fishing boats and stuff like that. Then I got into protected species work with NOAA, doing sea turtle research, where we were actually doing research on if you know what TEDs are, they're turtle excluder devices. These are devices that are put into shrimp nets, and they basically, it's kind of a metal grid that's put in a shrimp net that the shrimp trawlers pull, and it allows the turtle to escape the net, so it's not drugged behind the boat for hours, right? Basically, they swim through the net. There's a little grid they hit, and it shoots them up and pops a flap open in the net and allows the turtle to escape, but the shrimp just go right through the grid.
Awesome.
So we would raise turtles to modify that and make it perfected, make it better. Then I got into the Houston Zoo because our project was winding down, and we had always done sea turtle rehab on the side of our project. We were kind of the facility in Galveston, actually the entire upper Texas coast, that would take in injured, caught sea turtles and do rehab for them. So when the project started to shut down, the Houston Zoo called me up and they picked me up and said, hey, we would like you to keep doing the rehab for the area. And so I've been with the zoo since then. It's been about 2 years now.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, you can see an old diving pic up here on the screen. That's actually at Flower Gardens. I was out with Dr. Rooker's lab at Texas A&M University. They were doing some work looking at baby Graysby. So I got a little bit of diving experience too.
Nice. So was that with Lynn's project?
Yes.
Nice.
I was out diving with Mike, Lynn, Joe, a lot of people. So that was a lot of fun. We had some Hawaiian sling spears. We were trying to get little baby Graysby. I actually didn't get any, but I was a good dive buddy.
You were a safety diver.
I was. Yeah.
So now, what's going on with these shoes you've got on in this picture down here? They're very unique for those who are listening and not watching. They're kind of like giant plastic boxes on his feet.
Yeah. So those are special shoes I that we actually purchased because what you're seeing there, and for those of you who are not looking at the screen, can't see this. I'm taking this container out, and I have these weird shoes on. It's a giant mud flat, and so that's actually at North Jetty over on Bolivar Peninsula. That's a peninsula over here by Galveston Island. And when the strong north winds come in, it actually blows all the water out of that area. And there was like 5 sea turtles stranded out in the mud, and the water was going to be out like all day. And so someone that was out there fishing called, and I suited up and went out there to go see if I could get to them. Thankfully, we knew about the area, and we had got these shoes online just to see if they would work. They're called mudders, and they're specifically for walking in deep mud.
Okay.
And so they kind of, when you step, they spread out like a camel's foot in the sand, sort of. So, and then when
you don't sink on down up to
you
your
don't
knees.
keep sinking, because that mud, actually, if you try to walk in it, you start sinking down to your knees and maybe further.
Like snowshoes, kind of like the
yes.
do the tennis racket on the
they're
boot.
They're Texas snowshoes.
Yeah, but
cool.
But for some deep mud. So I was actually able to. They called about one turtle, and then that they could see flapping out in the mud, and they were worried because the birds will mess with them if they're out there, and they also dry out. So they called about one turtle, and I go out, and they're standing on the jetty bank and cheering me on, and I'm like, I hope I don't eat it face first in the mud. But I got people taking pictures, but I actually got out there, and when I got to it was a little green sea turtle. I got out there, and when I grabbed him, I looked further out, and I saw a trail, looked like turtle marks, and there was another one, and then there was another one, and I ended up having 5 that I collected and brought back in.
So you got more than you bargained for.
Yeah. But it was good. It was a fun experience, and we got to save them and get them back out to the water.
That's amazing.
And then these others you can see. So what we do at the zoo is when we have signs along our beaches and fishing areas and on jetties and things like that have a number, a hotline you can call. If you find a sea turtle that's stranded, it's injured for some reason, if it's on the beach, you should actually call, because the only time a turtle should be on the beach is if it's nesting season. And even then we want you to call because we want to go find the nest. But so if you see a sea turtle when you're out at the beach here in Texas on the upper Texas coast, there's a number you can call. It's 1-866-TURTLE-5. And we'll come out and pick the turtle up. We'll check it out and make sure it's healthy. And if it's sick, then we provide medical care, and we'll do rehab with the turtle, and we end up releasing them back into the wild afterwards. And so you can see me here. This was actually a cold stunned Kemp's Ridley up at the top in that picture that I was giving some fluids to. It was dehydrated, and it was in pretty bad shape. But we bring them in, give them the best care we can, and release them back in the wild. And that's fantastic. What I was doing. The bottom photo that we have posted up here is just a release we did just a few weeks ago, actually. That was down south on Padre Island. So we had to go down there because our waters here weren't quite warm enough yet to release turtles. So We drove down and released some green sea turtles there.
And we can get a little bit more into cold stunning here in just a minute.
We'll
but real quick, before we do that, I want to go back to, so that phone number, if you are in the Texas area, is this just for Texas or is it the whole Gulf Coast?
That is just the Texas coast, right? I believe.
So it's going to be that 1-866-Turtle-5. There's signs up on the beaches, but if you guys want to just program that into your phone, so then that way, whenever you guys are enjoying your beach time or cruising along the coast, if you see a stranded sea turtle, you can go ahead and call this.
And hey, you may get your photo with a turtle and get posted on zoo website or whatever and become semi-famous.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Jess, sorry, I did a fast edit of that. I didn't want
I appreciate that.
People in Bermuda like,
yes.
Ooh, I can call that the turtle. So
I'm sure there's a number. There's probably a number in Bermuda. You have to check that out.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Cody might hop on a plane and go. I don't think we'd have to check this out too much.
There's room certainly for Asia, Cody, Jess, and anyone else that wants to come to Bermuda. I got a big house, you guys.
Perfect. So next, I just kind of want to run through and see if everyone knows the 5 species of sea turtles that we have in the Gulf, here in the Gulf of Mexico. And you can jump on the chat or something and see if you can name all of them. That might be fun. You can try to start naming them. Let's start. We can do like top left. Top left that's a sea turtle that we don't actually see much here. It is the largest sea turtle. If anyone knows it, that would be Jess, do you know?
That would be the leatherback.
The leatherback sea turtle, yeah. So the leatherback is a large, mostly pelagic sea turtle. That means open ocean, for those of you who don't know the terminology there. They hang out at sea, and they're rarely near shore, so we don't see them much here. The rest we see fairly often, except for the one on the far right, the far top right. That is a hawksbill. We don't actually see many hawksbills around here because we don't have a whole lot of coral reefs. And hawksbills like to hang out around coral reefs and munch on coral polyps and all sorts of things that live on the reef. The rest, the other 3 is what we see primarily here on the Texas coast. In the center, we have the Kemp's Ridley. So this is the turtle that's in Jess's trivia question, I saw. So the Kemp's Ridley is the most endangered sea turtle in the world. They only nest in the Gulf of Mexico, on the lower Texas and Mexico coastline. This is also the smallest sea turtle. They only get to about 80, 90 pounds max as adults. And they're much more round than the other turtles. They're more dinner plate shaped than oval or tear shaped. And you can see this one that's depicted here is so first of all, we took all these photos except for the leatherback. I've never seen a leatherback in person, so I didn't have any photos of a leatherback. So I got that from the National Marine Fisheries website from NOAA. But the others, my coworker and I took all of these. The Kemp's Ridley in the middle that's like a juvenile.
It looks pretty small.
Yeah, it's a juvie, and that was on a release. You can see on a day that we had lots of sargassum on our beach.
That's a nice summer day.
yeah, nice summer day.
We actually talked about sargassum on the first episode of this season, of season 2. We talked about sargassum and shipwrecks. So if you guys want to learn a little bit more about that, you can go back to the first episode of season 2.
Yeah, so if you're a dedicated viewer, you already know all about it. And yeah, so it's basically a floating algae. You can call it seaweed if you want, but it's a floating algae. But the turtles like to hang out in it when they're offshore and when they're younger, and it's a nice basically like a safety zone for them. Kind of like a good hiding spot, so they can stay away from fish and kind of grow up. And so they float around and will hang out in that sargassum. This guy's a little juvenile. As they get larger, the Kemp's Ridley will actually fade out, and all that dark black gray coloration on top, the counter shading, goes away, and they become more sand colored, very light, which kind of helps out because they're the only turtle that nests during the day.
So they get a little bit of camouflage protection during their
helps with the
daytime.
sand, helps blend in with the sand a little better, because they do nest during the day, whereas the other ones nest usually at night. So you have the Kemp's Ridley. I'm sure everyone knows the bottom, on the bottom right there, the green sea turtle. They're the most common that people see a lot. That one was very vivid. His shell's great, so I wanted to throw him in there.
Stunning. For those of you who are listening and not watching, the green sea turtles have this beautiful kind of like starburst pattern on the back of their shell. It's very beautiful.
Right.
So let me just pause you for a second, Cody. This is really cool. So we've got 5 different species of turtle that are in the Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
Leatherback, huh? Yeah, 5.
Yeah, right.
These
right.
5. So leatherback, green, hawksbill, Kemp's Ridley, and did you do all 5?
No, we have
the
one
last
more.
one is that large one you see there. That's a loggerhead.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. We did have a question. I was just making sure. I was like, that's a lot of turtles. Like I didn't really know, but I hadn't heard of this Kemp's Ridley turtle before. So that's quite interesting. Thank you for sharing that. The 5th and final turtle in the Gulf. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh no, you're good. The 5th and final one is the loggerhead sea turtle. Loggerheads don't typically nest. Loggerheads and greens don't really nest on the Texas coast. Loggerheads nest here occasionally. Greens pretty much never nest on the Texas coast. But the loggerheads are, though they're not the largest turtle, they're typically the largest ones that we see here, because our environment is such that we mainly have only juvenile green sea turtles here, and the hawksbills we only see occasionally. Usually they only come here when we have a hurricane in the Gulf and it blows them to us. So the hawksbills don't really ever show up here, but we did have 13 a couple of years ago washed up on the shore right after a hurricane.
Oh wow, 13.
Yeah, and so we raised them up a little bit, and then we had to take them. We actually took those guys all the way down to the Keys and released them off Florida.
Oh wow, you brought them back to where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, because I mean, well, there's just no habitat for them here, and so that was a cool experience. That's where I got that photo that's on here. So yeah, we have five turtles in the Gulf, 5 species that we see. And most likely, if you're at the beach in Texas, you're going to see, most likely it's going to be a Kemp's Ridley or a green sea turtle. They're the most common to see. Now, around spring, we're going to start seeing some of these big loggerheads come through here. And typically every spring we have a few wash in that are usually in pretty rough shape. So we always get a couple of large ones that come in basically malnourished, emaciated. And so I have a slide that shows one later.
Okay.
We'll go to that.
Okay.
But
we'll real quick before we do that, we had a question in the comments
from Corey Weaver.
Corey Weaver. It says, how long do they nest for? So
I guess do they nest for?
I guess we'll go with the Kemp's Ridley because they're the ones that are most likely going to be on our shores. If you were talking about a different one, Corey, go ahead and correct me.
No, but for nesting season for the Texas coast, it's actually I jotted this down so I get it right because so basically the season starts April 1st usually, so it's going to be coming up here soon. Starting in April, and then it goes into July, and they usually stop looking for nests around like July 15th, so like mid-July. So that's the nesting season for the Texas coast. So it's coming up, and I talked with my friends at the Gulf Center for Sea Turtle Research. They do all the nesting patrols. There's lots of volunteers. You can actually sign up and volunteer to be a nesting patroller. I
actually was one of those.
You were?
Yeah, it was a sea turtle patrol. So I got to either walk or drive a UTV up and down different sections of the Texas coastline looking for sea turtle tracks, which help us find the nest. So we follow the tracks to the nest. And I actually got to be there when they released a couple. It was a really cool experience. So for anyone who is interested in volunteering, you can find out more information, and we'll put up that website for you here in just a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be great. And if you are just out and about and you see a sea turtle climbing up on the sand and it's going up or going back into the water, definitely call that same number and just describe what you saw to the person, and they'll come out and check to see if there's a nest.
Very cool.
Interesting. Very cool. Oh.
All right. Ooh, what do we have? What do we
When
have
nitty,
here?
Yeah, so
nitty gritty, no.
Yeah, so here we have so anytime someone calls from the public, we go out and we'll pick up the sea turtle. You can see here in the top left is actually one that someone from the public called me. They said there's this turtle flailing around in the surf. It's flipped over upside down, and I was like, oh yeah, go flip it over for me real quick. And if you're willing to go out and touch it, flip it over for me, and then I'll be there real fast. And so I was like, I'm on my way. And so I get out there, and there's this large, this would be like a sub-adult. This is not quite a full adult. He's right on the edge. He's right on the edge of adulthood. So loggerheads are like, they don't reach adulthood till around, some say 30 years.
Oh, wow.
So it can be like 25 to 30 years old before it's an actual breeding adult. Kemp's Ridley's is a little shorter, about 12 years or so.
Okay.
For the Kemps. Greens are similar to loggerheads at about 25, 30 years old before they start mating and reproducing. And so this would be about a subadult loggerhead. And just washed in, it was so lethargic, like so drained of energy, and hadn't been eating for a while that it could barely swim. And so it was washing around the surf. This family called me, they flipped it over, and I go out and pick it up, and they're super kind to help me, help me get it, onto the truck bed. And then we slide it onto a foam and piece of foam or board or something, and slide it into a container in the truck. And basically we just take them in. We run them back to the sea turtle hospital and give them, fluids. We give them antibiotics, and we do radiographs, and treat them, we try to figure out what's wrong with the turtle. This one, thankfully, recovered. And when it was released, you wouldn't recognize it because it was a completely different looking turtle. It was nice and plump and robust and
good
and strong.
So it looks like this one had a fishing hook inside of it.
Yeah. So I share a radiograph on here for those of you who can't see. There's a radiograph of that's actually a Kemp's Ridley, and you can see that this is why, like, when you're out fishing and if you catch a sea turtle, many times you're like, oh, I got the hook out or whatever, or you call us and the hook has already fallen out or something. We always like to check. We'll still take that turtle and bring it and radiograph it just in case, because it could have been another hook previously, before you caught it, and maybe that hook didn't come out and maybe it got swallowed. And so this one, I think, was not that case. This one was, they caught the turtle, and you can see the hook is still down right at the esophagus level. So that one was able to just be removed orally by the vet. But sometimes we get a turtle and they're like, oh, there's no hook. And then we x-ray it and there's like a hook way down in the gut. And you're like, oh, okay. So it's always good to check, and it's always good to call us.
It's great that you're able to check them out each time that you bring them in.
Yeah,
that's intense.
And if you notice you can see all the crab in its gut down there, all that
is that
distortion down there. That's a lot of crab shell. They love eating blue crabs. So camps actually hang out close to shore, near shore, and they feed on blue crabs off structures and even up in the bay. Unfortunately, our water here is not so clear near shore, so we can't go dive out and just view them. The only time we get clear water is like we got to ride way out, close to the flower gardens, or at least we're pretty good ways out before we get some clear water here. Unlike Bermuda, I've seen your beaches, and I'm a bit jealous. I kind of want to go diving there.
We're putting a trip together. We're gonna get all of our guests together and go out.
Guest excursion to Bermuda. That'll be great.
That would be fun. And so you can see just some other photos here of us treating them actually at the Houston Zoo Hospital. So we have a hospital located on Galveston Island that's on the NOAA National Marine Fisheries Service property. And there's a new hospital that was just started up at Texas A&M University to help sort of add some extra capacity, and they're going to get in the game, and they're going to start raising money to build a larger rehab facility on our island. But currently, the way that we do things is we pick up the turtles here at the beach, and we'll bring them to our facility here on the island and kind of do a quick assessment of the turtle. And then if it needs further, further veterinary care, like something that my coworker and I aren't qualified to do, like surgery or something like that, then we'll just immediately take it up to the Houston Zoo and see a vet there, or sometimes the vet will drive down to our facility. But mostly all of our turtles will still make one trip to the zoo to get x-rays and an official assessment before they're released. And so you see here, this is Dr. Kendra in the bottom photos here, just examining Kemp's Ridley, and she's checking its eyes. We'll check the eyes a lot of times for any sort of scars or abrasions in the eyes. And you can see she's doing a blood draw, actually taking some blood from the turtle to, we do full blood panels on them to make sure they're healthy and there's no diseases or anything before we approve them for release.
Awesome. Make sure they're in tip-top shape before they get returned. Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. So then these are some of the happy endings here with them getting released into the wild.
Yeah. So here's some release photos. This is if you see this family with the young girl, that was actually a NOAA employee that was out on her boat on the weekend, and her daughter spotted a sea turtle in distress in the water, and it was wrapped it actually had fishing line with a pole. I think this one was the one that still had a pole attached too.
Oh, and goodness.
It was wrapped around its flipper, and it was dragging this thing around. And what happens is that fishing line will just wrap around that flipper, and it keeps getting tighter and tighter, and it just kind of constricts the flipper. And if it gets too bad, it cuts into the flipper and cuts off blood flow. And so you can see this turtle in the release photo. He actually had that flipper was completely amputated on that side. They can still survive and do fine with one missing flipper. And we're thinking, potentially even if it's a female, it could still breed and add to the population, right? So these are all threatened and endangered species. And so the most we can, we try to save as many as possible. And if it can still survive, if it can go out and live a full life, then we're going to get it back out there and release it. So, and do our best to save it. And so that was her daughter. So we actually let her come down and do the release with us. Nice. We do that a lot of times with public if they're interested. Sometimes we'll let them know, hey, we're going to release your turtle today if you want to come out and see. So it's a good way to incentivize and create more engagement with the community.
Yeah,
and get them involved. Yeah,
maybe get to help release a turtle that you were part of saving if you call it in. That's really exciting.
Yeah, and then if you go back to the other side. Yeah. The people up in the top, actually, on the top right photo there. So you can see this is a green, and he's getting lined up for an X-ray. and that's one of our vet techs, Katie. And the lady and her son there in the middle actually are from the Galapagos, and so they're
Oh, wow.
they're part of our. So the zoo is part of a pretty big conservation effort where we actually fund conservation efforts in other countries, and so we actually work with. Her name's Lady. We work with her and her organization over in the Galapagos to save green sea turtles there.
Oh, wow.
It's a nesting location for green sea turtles. And what she does is she actually works with students in the Galapagos and teaches them how to go out, find, and protect the green sea turtle nests. And so, since I'm talking about that, I mean, like, we actually have a new exhibit coming on board at the zoo, and it's going to be a Galapagos themed exhibit.
Oh, I saw a post about that. That's
Yeah,
very exciting.
it looks cool. It's going to be opening up soon. It got postponed because all the shipping delays with some of the exhibit, like the acrylic for the tanks. We had to wait for some acrylic to ship over, but it's going to have the sea lions, and it's going to have sea turtles,
cool.
and the Galapagos tortoises that are at the zoo are going to be moved over there.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's to promote, our conservation efforts, because the zoo is all about not just coming to see animals at the zoo, just to see them, but to let people know that when you're coming to the zoo and you pay for that ticket, you're actually paying to save those animals that you're seeing in the wild. So all of our exhibits now, or a good portion of the exhibits, are all themed towards conservation efforts that we have going on around the world. So the South America, the Pantanal, the Brazilian wetlands exhibit they just opened at the zoo is funding research efforts with giant armadillos and stuff in the Pantanal.
Oh, wow.
So it's very cool what they're doing, what we're doing there at the zoo. And so, yeah, just remember, like, come see us, come visit, and your tickets go to fund efforts like my job, saving sea turtles here in Texas and in our Gulf, but also like across the world in the Galapagos. And we do some stuff with gorillas. There's gorilla work in Africa and places that we help fund. So
that's super exciting. It's wonderful whenever places use that to not just educate the public, but to actually help with conservation efforts. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's cool. We do have a question from Bobby Jess.
Oh, yeah. Let's. Would you mind? I'm on the other screen. Would you mind pulling it up for us?
No problem. So, Bobby Suarez asks, is fibropapillomatosis an issue in the Gulf like it is in the Pacific for the green turtles? Thank you for your question, Bobby.
Yes. Fibropapillomatosis. That's a mouthful, right?
Did I get it right? I'm gonna have to rewind that.
So for our viewers that don't know what that is, that's actually it's a virus that sea turtles get, and it causes these massive tumors to grow on the turtle, and it actually starts to it gets in their eyes, and it hinders their eyesight. It can get inside of them and hinder their digestion, their swimming ability. They'll get these massive growths that prevent them from getting full range of motion and swimming. It's a pretty nasty virus, and unfortunately, there's no real cure for it yet that we've found. So here it is. We do have it here, and we have been seeing it in our green population. It's not as bad as like it is over in Florida and other places, and we're hoping it doesn't get to that point. But like, we used to not see it at all, but as our green population is getting larger, we're starting to see it more often. And I would say back in 2018, we had a massive cold stun. And we'll talk about that in a second, but cold stunning, but that we saw a whole bunch of greens come in cold stunned, and there was a good little portion of them. I wouldn't say half, but there was a good percentage that did have some signs of FP. And we call it FP for short. It's easier than saying that whole long.
I don't want to say the whole thing every time.
Yeah. So yeah. My dog is over there yapping at me. Just trying
That's
to get
right.
into the conversation.
Yeah, mine made a visit on the show a couple episodes back.
Well, good. Cody, I'm just gonna jump in real quick and just I'm just curious about, because the title of our show is saving the sea turtles. So I guess you're probably gonna get to this, but yeah, like the biggest threats are turtles in the Gulf.
Yeah. So here in the Gulf, our biggest threat, well, there's a couple boats, like boating is
Sure.
also obviously a large threat for, especially for the greens, as they tend to hang out in shallow waters in the bay, and they like to eat on seagrass beds. And since some of our conservation efforts and things with our bay and trying to restore our seagrass beds here are working, and so as our seagrass beds get larger, we're getting more and more greens show up here on the Texas coast. A long time ago, there used to be a lot of greens on the Texas coast. So many, in fact, they used to have a fishery for them,
Wow.
and they canned them. And basically, due to fishing and some changes with changes around our bays when they added in some deeper canals for ports and things like that, it basically changed the environment here. And so seagrass beds diminished, and overfishing sea turtles caused the population to basically just drop off. And so since then, sea turtles they're listed as protected. And since we've been protecting sea turtles and doing a bunch of things like rehab efforts and nest protection, the TED work that they put in the fishery industry was a big game changer, because that was a big threat here in the U.S. and around the world, like shrimping nets and things like that. They just scoop those turtles up, and it ends up drowning the turtle because they tow for a long time. And turtles can hold their breath for a while, but not under stress. And if they're under stress, then that time drops down significantly. So it goes from maybe holding for like an hour or so to like maybe 30 minutes or so. And if they're towing for several hours, then you're going to drown that turtle. And so that's why here in the U.S., it's mandatory that all shrimpers have to have those TEDs in their nets. And so that eliminated one big threat in our Gulf. The other threat is just those greens in the shallow waters. They hang out there, and fast motorboats going by, they get hit. So just from getting hit by boats, stray fishing line, monofilament line, cast nets, things like that get, if they just get left out there, if they get lost in the water, thrown out, those are a big issue, because sea turtles will get wrapped up in those. And not only like the one you saw where it lost its flipper, that was because of just fishing line that got left out. So we try to do things to mitigate that. You can see the screen we have up here, the new photos we have up here on the screen. We set up some recycling. Just us, the zoo, along with several other partners. You can see some of the stickers on that middle photo on that bin. So that's actually a monofilament bin that we set up on some popular fishing locations that fishermen can actually stick their monofilament in there when they cut off line or they break off and they have some extra line, just so that it's not going in the jetty rocks and it's not going in the water. And that way it saves a lot of sea turtles. It saves birds and other animals as well, from getting wrapped up in that line. Pelicans.
And these are really handy for those of you who aren't from Texas or you haven't seen these. They are PVC pipes that they have put together to kind of create a tunnel. So versus if you were to put just a stray fishing line into a trash can, when the wind blows, a lot of times it creates like a suction and it'll turn the trash bag inside out. With these plastic PVC pipes, you're able to put your monofilament, which is really lightweight, which is part of the problem of it getting washed into the water. You're able to put it down into the tube, and that way, even on a breezy day, you don't have to worry about it coming out. So it's a very effective way to put your cut line or broken nets, that type of thing, inside of these.
Yeah, that's dope. We've got those in Bermuda, but not
Very
with
cool.
not with that cap on it. Like I just see you got the 90-degree angle, and then there's that cap.
Yeah.
We don't have the cap, but the Bermuda National Trust I think the point of contact for these things that are across the island, which is pretty dope.
Awesome. Yeah,
Very
that's good to hear that y'all got that going on. Yeah, we had those caps because it would just used to just be the full open thing, and we would just get so much trash in there that they
Right.
fill up with trash before you get monofilament in there, and so we put
Which
a
is good that
cap.
people are throwing away their trash, but there's
Yeah,
trash cans for that.
it's good, but that's not really what they're for.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's good. But you can see that one's full, like it's coming out of the hole there. So there's a small hole in the end of that cap, and it's just to limit the size of things that go into there. Just try to make it to where it's really just monofilament. It's not for your trash. If you put it in there, okay, we clean it out. You can see my coworker over there, Andy's pulling some line out of the rocks. You can see my trash can there. It's pretty full with stuff that we collect off. And that's actually out at Surfside Jetty.
Okay.
For those of you who are local and know where Surfside Jetty is, it's a long jetty out, sticking out there. A lot of people like to fish on.
Back where we did Dunes Day earlier this year.
Yeah. And you can see the zoo actually went out and added a sign and did sort of a promotional thing where they would go out and fishermen that were there to try to get people involved. Some people didn't know what these were, and some people didn't know they could use them, and just to promote it and get more people involved, they did a sort of a behavior change project where they went out. So it was the Houston Zoo and some other partners and some volunteers, some master naturalists and stuff like that went out, and they would just ask fishermen, do you want to take a pledge to recycle your fishing line? And if you do, we'll take your photo, we'll put it on the board here at the park, and people can see that you've made this pledge. And they said apparently a lot of people love that. The fishermen would be like, yeah, let me catch a fish first. You can take my photo with the fish, and then we'll put it on the board, right?
Awesome.
But
I love that.
But yeah, so it's actually helped. We've seen more. They haven't finished the project yet. They're actually doing a project with it, but I think the numbers are looking like we've seen a lot more line in the bins rather than on the ground. What we do is we go out and we'll pick it all up and we weigh it. We'll weigh what's on the ground and weigh what's in the bins to see how much of a difference it's making. And so that's a big project that's going on with the zoo and some other people now that they're involved in that.
That is so exciting, and we are so happy we got to have you on. I know there's probably some more questions that people have, but I know we have to kind of start wrapping things up tonight. But Cody actually showed a really cool video with me. So with your permission, Cody, I'll go ahead and I'll share it.
Yeah.
I'll put the link in our comments, but also share it on my Facebook page and the page and the Wade in the Water Show's Facebook page as well. So you guys can watch us very cool clip.
That is so cool, Cody. I'm just like so excited, man. I had no idea you have like a presentation. I gotta say, you're the first guest that's brought these visuals along with you, and it's definitely proven to be really, really valuable in order for you to tell your story and articulate it best to our viewership. And certainly those listening via podcast we'll send them to where they need to go to get more information about you and your cause and how to support your work, and potentially follow you on social media as well. So feel free to take a moment to plug whoever you like to plug in order for our viewership to find more information and basically support you and your work. Houston Zoo, of course.
Yeah, Houston Zoo, the Gulf Center for Sea Turtle Research, they bring in turtles now, and they have a hospital going on, and they do the nesting work, and they're affiliated with Texas A&M University.
Right.
Shout out to our friends at Texas Parks and Wildlife that help us bring in a lot of these turtles. Yeah, and but yeah, it's good to see. There are some turtle projects in Bermuda as well. For those of you in Bermuda that are looking to get involved, I saw there's the Bermuda Turtle Project.
Yep.
And they're doing some in-water stuff there. And I saw that y'all have basically kind of like we do. You have a lot of juvenile greens and stuff around there. And just remember, when you're diving, if you see them, they are protected. So don't go grabbing them or trying to get up there. Right. So just remember that.
Oh, bro, thank you so much. We do have a question before we kick off the answers to Jess and I's trivia. Kimberly's asking, Cody, what's your favorite turtle and why?
Ooh.
Oh, my favorite turtle. I'm fond of the Chems. And it's not because they're like our local nesters, but they have the best personality. They're super chill.
I see.
They're really relaxed. Greens are very flappy and they freak out really easily. Loggerheads like to bite a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
I've been chewed on by a loggerhead.
yeah,
That's
the Kemps
funny.
is really chill and they're very nice. So they have a strong bite because they eat crabs, so you don't want to get bit by them. But they're not too bitey, so they are actually my favorite.
That's cool. Thank you so much for that. I want to shout out to our sponsors, TBI and Blue Wave, and to all of our supporters that keep this show running. But of course, this show is made for you guys that are locked in. So thank you so much for your viewership and for all of your support. Because without you, it'll be just Cody, Jess, and I talking to ourselves. It'll be what it'll be.
That's still fun.
Yeah, still could be fun. But yeah, if you guys have any further questions for any of us, but especially for our guest for tonight's episode, Cody, now is your time. But what we're gonna do while we're just waiting for any further interaction is reveal the answers to our trivia. Jess, how do you feel about that?
Excellent. Very excellent. All right.
Very good.
Well, for mine, it had to do with the Kemp's Ridley sea turtle. So it was, what is the average number of eggs in a nest? Do you know the answer to this, Cody? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, I promise.
The average, I would say, I'm going to say somewhere it's around 100. I would say like 99 to
Yes, ding,
100.
ding, ding. So
Yeah.
according to Noah's website, the average is
Mm.
approximately 100 eggs per nest. And the females, they can nest more than once per season, right, Cody?
They
Or is that a
actually
different
can.
species? Okay.
No, yeah, they can. They can nest several times in one nesting season, but they also will take years off, so they don't nest every year.
Okay.
That's interesting.
And also quite a few who, just because they hatch doesn't mean that they're going to make it to adulthood. So there's a very low survival rate for
Very
baby
low.
sea turtles. So they have all sorts of predators on land to get before they get to the water, and then they also have predators once they get into the water, and just when they're in their egg form. So sometimes the nest will get dug up and eaten by different predators. But I have some cute footage of I had the absolute pleasure of getting to see a sea turtle nest hatch in Mexico when I was there for a study abroad course, and it was pretty, like, not to be dramatic, but it was kind of life-changing to get to watch this sea turtle nest
cool.
just
Yeah.
and it wasn't marked. And it just surprised us. It was our last night there. So I will make sure to share that footage with you guys on my socials. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Social media. So you can see it too.
All good, you guys. And real quick, before I reveal my very quick answers to my trivia question, which was what are two metals that scuba cylinders are made out of, it would be remiss or amiss or whatever that word is, I mean, not to sort of feature the Bermuda Turtle Project on this show. So I'm just going to add the website to the feed so our viewership can see that. I also was Googling baby grass bee turtles, as you can see. But the Bermuda Turtle Project .org is their website. And Bermuda has been protecting sea turtles for a really long time. We've got like the oldest legislation in this part of the world back in 1600 and something. We started to protect our green turtles. So there's a lot going on. As Cody did mention, there's a big anniversary that was had a couple of years ago.
Wow,
and
50
then
years.
We're inviting people to sign up for being part of research efforts. So yeah, there's a lot going on. Check out the site. And you'll find out everything you need to know about the Bermuda Turtle Project, which is run through the Bermuda Aquarium Museum and Zoo. So that's pretty cool. Now, simple answers, guys. All of the divers in the room will be very familiar with aluminum dive cylinders. They're probably the most common dive cylinder out there. It's lightweight, can hold the pressure, all good, nice. But there are also aluminum cylinders out there that I find divers in the UK and Europe and technical divers, especially side mount divers, for their trim properties with respect to when they lose gas, cylinders tend to change their buoyancy characteristics. So aluminum and steel We see steel cylinders. Now, there's probably a handful of steel cylinders in Bermuda. I don't see them out in the wild anywhere near as much as aluminum. And I'm not going to go into a deep dive about the differences in the tanks, but I will say that there are key characteristic differences between the two. You'll see aluminum cylinders probably out here 99 times out of 100. So that's my trivia. And Jess gave her answers to her trivia. And we've had a wonderful almost an hour chatting with Cody. You are amazing, bro. I was not expecting all of that. That is really, really phenomenal.
Sorry, we can talk turtles a while. We didn't even get to the video, but I was like, I know.
No.
We'll definitely share it though, so that you guys can see it.
We'll share the video, but Cody, I'm definitely happy to have you back. We can always do a deep dive into something turtle related, but just different than what we discussed tonight if you want. But yeah, it's something like I love turtles. I've got some amazing video of turtles. I know of the green turtles, but it's really it's something I haven't personally really looked into. Just like oysters and all kinds of other things, there's just so much out there to learn, and I'm a lifelong learner, and it's wonderful to feel your energy and your passion for tending to these creatures that are very important to our ecosystem. So thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Yes, thank you so much.
And check out tomorrow. I think tomorrow we're going to be releasing a video on the Houston Zoo website or their social media posts for a release we just did.
Oh, how exciting. All right, we'll try to make sure to share that too, so you guys get to see it.
All right. Mm-hmm. Cody, thank you so much for your time, man. We're going to let you go, and Jess and I are going to wrap the show. No, thank you.
That was fun, guys.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Now, that was crazy. That was dope. It's so cool. Like what's happened is, and I'm just speaking totally off the cuff from my personal lived experience. You know, Bermuda, small 21 square mile island, you know, the jewel of the Atlantic, super isolated. We've got people that do all kinds of really cool things. Jennifer Gray is like Bermuda's turtle lady, right? She's been at the forefront of the turtle conservation space for such a long time, and it'll be wonderful to have her on the show just to explain some of the nuances, right? Like Bermuda had, I think, its first turtle hatching event just a few years ago, but like it hadn't happened in recorded history for ages. And Jennifer was able to witness this, and there were issues where like the turtles were going towards the light of street lamps and like losing their direction, and there's all kinds of stuff. You're just like, wow. And in the blue space, it's just so much to learn and pay attention to and understand. And you know, it's unfortunate, like we did talk about threats, and it sounded like the majority of them, save natural occurrence like predation of sharks and stuff, you know, human impact is definitely a big piece of it, you know. And we get, like, even on the Bermuda Turtle Project website, there is, under helping the turtles, there's a threats is at the top, and boat strikes, human boat collisions, bycatch in commercial long lines, entanglement in commercial fishing gear, entanglement in recreational fishing gear, and ocean debris swallowing plastics and all that stuff. So it's pretty wild. So yeah, lots going on, lots to learn, lots to do, but it's all very much worth protecting. I want to segue very, very quickly, totally off topic. I want to highlight and recognize something really amazing that happened today. I went into a local pharmacy and finally discovered a copy of the Into the Depths National Geographic edition, featuring Tara Roberts, and the front cover. It's entitled Into the Depths, Searching for Shipwrecks from Slavery's Hidden Past to Help Heal the Present. I've been waiting for this. I was like, I really, really hope that the print editions come to Bermuda. And guys, I picked up, I'm a geek like that. I picked up 3 copies. And inside, it's featuring some friends that I haven't met in person, but Justin Dunavant, it's just full of rock stars in the space, underwater archaeologists that are really, really doing some great stuff. Bermuda being the shipwreck capital of the Atlantic, it's like there's a lot that we need to uncover here as well. So guys, wherever you might be in the world, the March 2022 edition of Nat Geo features some really amazing people, amazing storytellers, and amazing divers that are doing really, really great work, telling stories that need to be told. Pick it up. That's just a plug. to Nat Geo to support my friends. So, and with that said, you guys, it's 9:40 p.m. here in Bermuda. It is past my bedtime. To think that last season we were starting the show at 10 p.m. Bermuda time. I keep going back to that because I'm like, wow, that was late.
It was a late show. It was a late live show.
It was. We were calling it the late live show, and it was truly late. Jess, any closing remarks for this episode?
Well, I want to thank Cody for being on again, and also just for you guys who are here every night with us or every episode with us, learning new things. I know that there's so much out there and there's so much that we can dive into. So if you ever have anything in particular that you would like that maybe be a topic for a show, just send us a DM. Let us know what you're thinking, and don't feel overwhelmed. We are here to kind of like widen horizons, including our own. So that's why we want to bring these really cool guests to you guys, and also just talk about topics with just Weldon and I, is so that way we can always be learning. We can be lifelong learners. Yep. And kind of just share all of the fun and exciting things that the ocean has to share with us. So thank you so much for being here. Go ahead, give us a like or subscribe, and we are just so happy. And we will see you next Wednesday for the 9th episode of the season. We're getting close to the end.
I'm gonna go back to that, you guys. Likes are free, subscribing is free. It all helps. It helps the channel to grow, and it just gives us encouragement to keep it moving. So hit live.weldonwade.com, search for us on YouTube, search for us on Facebook, follow Diving with Jess on Instagram, follow the Houston Zoo online. It all helps, and it all is very, very encouraging as well. And yeah, next week will be episode 9. We'll drop the topic shortly. But you know how it's gonna go. It's gonna be great. And we will learn, as well as hopefully share something new with you guys and learn from you guys too. That's how we, keep it moving. Yeah. Thank you so much for your viewership. And to all 45 of you guys that are hanging out with us tonight online live, thank you so much. And if you're listening to us on the podcast or watching us on the replay, thank you so much. We appreciate you. But you know how we go, you guys. Right now, we are gone.